My name is Earl Harris. I'm a state representative for House District 2 in Northwest Indiana. And then I also serve as the chair of the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus. Thank you again for joining us on this Monday at the Statehouse. We are gathered here today because the maps that shape our district also shape our futures. Redistricting isn't just a technical process, it's a moral one. It determines how resources in our communities and how voices are heard and how voices are counted. Let's talk about what's happening. Under Indiana's Constitution, the governor has the power to call a special session of the Indiana General Assembly when, in his opinion, the public welfare requires it. The governor has announced that we will go back in for a special session that will convene to consider redistricting as well as other topics. However, no specific date has been set yet for session. And just to make sure you know, when we go in will be decided by the Speaker of the House and the President Pro Tem. Here's a crucial point. The portion of the session concerning the tax code does not require a special session. That's one of the reasons that's been given for us to go back in. It could be addressed during the regular legislative session, which starts in January of next year. And I'm sure every Hoosier would agree there are more urgent reasons to declare a special session in the name of public welfare. Funding for child care, the rising cost of utilities, the rising cost of health care, ensuring affordable housing, even that people that want to purchase houses are able to purchase houses, and protecting food security, especially in light of the recent SNAP changes. There are real challenges Hoosier families face every day. Even though a session date isn't in place yet, we have decided to come here and stand strong for the Hoosiers, the residents of this state. We are fighting to protect our democracy also. If lawmakers are going to be called back, it must be for these priorities, not for political gains. I hope that's not a bad omen at the sign off. I want to thank each and every one of you who has called your state representatives, your state senators, the Speaker of the House, the President of the Pro Tem of the Senate, and the Governor's Office to say we oppose redistricting schemes that silence our voices. I want to thank each and every one of you who has made these phone calls for your activism because it matters. We need you to keep it up. Stop by the IBLC table to get information on how to contact your lawmakers. If you did not see it, the table is starting straight ahead, and this is the information that you're looking for. IBLC has strongly stood for equity, justice, and opportunity. We fight for fair representation, not just in words, but in actions. Through legislation, advocacy, and community engagement. And today, we are here to say Hoosiers deserve maps that reflect who we are, not political manipulation. Before we begin this process, I want to introduce the members of the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus that are able to join us today. It's a powerful group, a powerful coalition of lawmakers from across the state that are committed to advancing justice and opportunity for all Hoosiers. I will start to my right. We have Representative Greg Porter from here in Indianapolis. We have Representative Vanessa Summers, also from here in Indianapolis. We have Cherish Pryor from here in Indianapolis. Cherish also serves as second in leadership for the House Democrats, as she served as the floor leader. We are joined also by Representative Carol Jackson from Northwest Indiana and the Vice Chair of the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus. On the other side, we have Senator Greg Taylor from here in Indianapolis. And last but definitely not Representative John Bartlett here. I want to thank all of them for joining us today. I appreciate their attendance. This rally is about more than just speeches. It's about action. We will move through two key phases today. First is awareness. Where we will hear from community leaders about how unfair maps affect real people. Then the second phase is advocacy, where we will focus on protecting our democracy through policy, legal protections, and civic engagement. Along the way, we will hear from a couple of members of Congress. We will close with a call to action that empowers each of us to make a difference. Because again, you, as voters, as residents, as constituents, make a difference in what happens here at the State House. As we begin, I invite you to reflect, what does fair representation mean to you? Who gets left out when maps are drawn behind closed doors? And more importantly, what role will you play in making sure every voice counts? So, let's get started. Before we dive into the program, let's take a moment for reflection. Reverend David Green, President of the Concerned Clergy of Indianapolis, has long been a voice for justice and unity in Indiana. He will be offering remarks and lead us in prayer as we prepare to stand together for fair representation. Reverend Green.
Good morning, everyone. This moment is bigger than maps and boundaries. It's about the moral blueprint of Indiana's future. Redistricting is not just political, it's spiritual. Because when lines are drawn to lock some people out, injustice sneaks in. When communities are split to weaken their power, democracy begins to crumble. When our leaders forget that the people are the true source of power, we must remind them respectfully, powerfully, and persistently that the people's house belongs to the people. We stand here today as one voice, one movement, one family, black, brown, and white, rural and urban, young and seasoned, declaring that our unity is stronger than any attempt to divide us. We're united because we believe in a democracy that includes us all. We believe that fairness is not a favor, it's a right. We believe that representation should never be manipulated by maps, but mandated by morality. As Dr. King once said, we must learn to live together as brothers, or perish together as fools. I want to add that we must learn to govern together as equals, or risk watching justice fade from the landscape of our state. So today, let's draw our own line. A line of faith that says we trust God more than politics. A line of hope that says change is still possible. A line of love that says we will keep showing up until justice shows out. Let us pray. Gracious and righteous God, we pause in this sacred space, this house of the people, to give thanks for your presence and your power. Thank you for the ancestors who stood on courthouse steps, marched across bridges, spoke truth in the face of injustice. Thank you for their faith that still fuels us and their courage that still carries us. Today, oh God, we ask that you stir up the same spirit of justice in us. Remind our leaders that they would not just be drawing lines on paper, but shaping lives and legacies. Lord, turn hearts from self-interest to service, from partnership to principle, from exclusion to inclusion. And Lord, let fairness flood our state like a rising tide. Let integrity rise higher than influence. Let every Hoosier from Hammond to Evansville, from Fort Wayne to Indianapolis, know that their voice matters, their vote counts, and their community belongs. God, we ask your blessings upon the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus and every person standing in the gap for equity and truth. Surround them with wisdom, shield them with strength, sustain them with peace. When the temptation to give up comes, remind us all of those who never did give up. When the fights feel so long, remind us that justice may be delayed, but never denied. And when the victory comes, because it will come, may we give you all the glory and all the praise and all the honor. We pray this prayer in the name of the one who loves justice, the one who heals division, and the one who still guides our steps towards freedom. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Green, for grounding us in purpose and in faith. We will begin the first part. That first part of the story of the journey today is awareness. We will hear from community leaders about what redistricting will mean to our neighborhoods, our power, and our democracy. We will begin with Carla Lopez Owens. She is a Latino community advocate who will share how fair representation defines opportunity and how this will impact Latino communities. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Carla Lopez Owens, and I am an immigrant from Mexico. I grew up there, but I have been living in Indiana for the last 25 years. I grew up undocumented, and today I am a U.S. citizen. I work as a local government attorney, I serve as a community advocate, and I represent Latinos, immigrants, and working people throughout the state of Indiana. What this administration is trying to do with the mid-cycle redistricting is not only unethical, it is morally corrupt. Historically, the process to redraw lines happens on a 10-year cycle after every census, and the last time that our lines were redrawn and finalized was October 2021, which is barely 4 years ago. What we're seeing right now is unprecedented. This is not the will of the people, this is the will of the presidential administration. We don't want our lines redrawn, we want our SNAP benefits restored for our neighbors. We live in a democracy and not a dictatorship. We have procedural safeguards meant to give us a chance, to give the public a chance to give feedback on how these procedures work. Those are meant to be followed, and that's what we need to urge this administration. I talk to a lot of people about their votes, and a lot of people tell me their vote does not matter. As a formerly undocumented immigrant, I'm here to tell you that it does matter, and that in having this our U.S. citizenship, it's not only a privilege, it's a duty, it comes with duty, and we have a responsibility to stand up to these oppressive tactics. So when people tell you that your vote doesn't matter, I would urge you to think about what we all have fought for to be where we are today. We have access, we have privilege, we have a lot of things that people just don't. And so I urge you all to use your access and your privilege and your voice, because so many people can't, and in doing so you're standing up for these communities that can't come out otherwise. So I hope you join me in opposition of these oppressive tactics. Thank you.
Thank you for Carla for kicking us off today. Next, Willis Bright, the chair of the African American Coalition of Indianapolis, will speak about empowering Black leaders and strengthening community voices.
Good morning. I'm Willis Bright. I am chair of the African American Coalition of Indianapolis, a group of 20+ civic, social, religious, fraternal organizations who are, over their years of existence, over 20 years, have been a voice of positive change. We stand here today as a group of citizens who are protectors of something that our ancestors and yours fought for and that is so that we can have a voice, that we can have an opportunity to input on the decisions that are being made for us. One thing I'd like us to think a little bit about, very quickly, is where did this idea come from? I don't remember your neighbors or my neighbors or even folks in our General Assembly saying, we want to redistrict. We did that a few years ago. The idea for doing this has come from people who are eliminating means for health care for all of our people around the state of Indiana. It's from people who are eliminating means for quality and equitable education for children all over the state of Indiana. It is for people who have weaponized, politicized, independent organizations to go after people who don't like what they stand for. It is from people who are trying to take the resources that we all have contributed to enrich themselves so that they can even create a further distance from us. We here in Indiana, we don't like people telling us what we ought to do. So why are we moving in lockstep with the folks who are doing those kinds of things to us and against us? I would say to you, call your neighbors, call your friends, call your church members, tell them to call the people here. In our General Assembly, in our state government, yes, we want them to have a special session, but we want that special session to be dealing with things that were left on the table, like housing, like health care, like education. Those are the things that we need to be addressing, and we can only do that with your support and the support of others. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bright. You know, he really hit on reality. Did any of you call for this as citizens of Indiana? No. Did any of us as reps and senators call for this? No. This call came from outside the House, outside the state. So thank you, sir, for bringing up that very valid point. All right, next up is Kim Eldridge. She is also a Northwest Indiana resident. She is the president of Indivisible Northwest Indiana, and she will speak to us today about grassroots organizing and how this keeps voters engaged and strengthens voices.
Hi, everybody. Thanks to the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus for pulling this all together, and thanks for asking us to be here. I was asked to come today to talk a little bit about grassroots organizing and the importance of it. It's kind of a force that lies at the very heart of democracy, especially here in Indiana. It's what we need right now. Community-driven efforts are not just abstract ideals. They are living, breathing realities that keep voters engaged, and it strengthens the very fabric of our civic participation. Organizing is a collective action of everyday people. We have never needed community organizing more than we need it right now. With everything that's going on, and just like the speaker before me, and just like Representative Harris said, none of us asked for this redistricting, right? This redistricting came all the way from the top. We didn't ask for it, and so it's going to take community organizers to actually do something about it. It's all about engaging voters. Organizing is the collective action of everyday people, just like you and me, coming together to tackle issues that matter most in our neighborhoods and our communities. And the primary issue right now is this redistricting. The key to success is direct engagement, whether that's knocking on doors, hosting town hall meetings, hosting trainings, or launching social media campaigns. That's what we need to reach and mobilize citizens where they live. Like I said, it's all about engaging the voters. Indivisible was formed as an organization for just that purpose. We are a nationwide organization with chapters in every state. And as of today, we have 20 chapters here in Indiana now, all grassroots organizing. We keep voters informed, motivated, and ready to participate in the next election. Strategy is super important. We do outreach, so that means we speak directly to voters, directly to them, making the democratic process both relatable and a lot less intimidating. We do lots of education. That means we provide resources and training on civic issues, empowering voters to understand why their voices matter. How many of you know people that have no clue what civics is all about? How many of you know people that no longer have any clue how their own government works because they're not being taught that in school? So one of our directives is to get out there and do civic education. We also hold community events, very important. We hold forums, debates, training, social gatherings to foster dialogue between people. And that strengthens bonds between residents of the community. But remember, grassroots organizing doesn't end when the polls close. It's supposed to be a year-round operation. Year-round. That hasn't always been done, but that's the way Indivisible does it. Grassroots organizing and protesting is in our DNA as American citizens. Don't let anybody tell you any differently. This country was founded on protesting, organizing, and action. Don't let anyone intimidate you. Don't let anyone tell you that this country was founded on anything else, because it was not. It is our right and duty to speak out when we see things that are wrong, like this redistricting. And we think it's wrong to let the Republicans in this state and people like Donald Trump dictate to us what needs to be done here in the state of Indiana. This state does not belong to Republicans alone. It belongs to all of us. All of you right here and all of us. And all of you being here shows them that we are not going to take this line down. In conclusion, organizing is a super powerful tool that keeps voters engaged, and it strengthens civic education and participation here in Indiana. By building direct relationships, nurturing education, and inspiring ongoing involvement, this ensures that democracy remains vibrant and responsive to the needs of all of our citizens. Everything should be shaped by the hands of citizens, you and I, you and me, and all of us.
Thank you, Kim. Kim brought up a couple of things. Information is key. And the reality is there are still people out there that don't quite understand what this potential redistricting special session, why it's being called, what it potentially will do. So help people get informed. As Kim said, her organization has had different community events. IBLC members, we've had town halls. Other people, as individuals, we've had town halls. Take people that don't know to those events so that they will completely understand what is at hand for all of us if this goes through. All right, next up, we are joined by Brent Curry. He's the first vice president of the NAACP's Elkhart chapter. He will remind us that fair maps are a civil rights issue central to protecting our collective power. Mr. Curry.
Good morning. I am Rick Curry from Elkhart, Indiana, where I am now the president of the NAACP there. But I stand here today in place of our state president, Sadie Harper Scott. Sadie couldn't be here, but she wanted to go on record that the NAACP is definitely against this redistricting. The NAACP is on record today, and we are against redistricting. And the reason why we are against redistricting, why are we redistricting now? We take a census every 10 years, and we decide if things need to be changed. But this is not a census year, so why are we doing it now? Well, the NAACP know why we're doing it now. And like it's been said, we have to encourage other people to get involved and vote and understand what's going on now. The urgency of now. We have to make sure we know the issues. Because when we talk as NAACPers in our community, a majority of the people don't even know what redistricting is all about. People are struggling with paying their mortgages, eating, and other issues, medical issues and stuff, and now redistricting has gotten in the front page of the paper. But the front page of my hometown newspaper said that the votes are not there, and that's good. But the NAACP don't like to see our money wasted when our communities need so much. We have this SEA1. Anybody familiar with that? That's another one that we don't need to be dealing with, but it's not good, but it's coming. But most people that don't understand, we have to make them understand what this redistricting is all about. It's about the midterms next year. Everybody knows that the party in power tend to lose seats every time it happens. And most people don't realize that there is a majority in Washington that Republicans are running things, and if they lose seats, they know they would no longer be in control. And so that's what this is all about in Indiana. We have 9 seats in Indiana. They already have 7. So what would they gain from this redistricting? An opportunity to win 2 more and have all 9. Sound like they just greedy to me. But the NAACP, we're going to do our part to register people to vote. And maybe we can win all 9 back the other way. And the NAACP, we've been around since 1909. And we've had some great leaders who taught us something. The great Ben Hooks said, you know, we are an organization, we are nonpartisan, but we are very political. We elect our friends and we defeat our enemies. And we're going to give all the representatives in the state of Indiana to be we're going to give them a chance to be our friend by doing the right thing and not do the wrong thing and vote for redistricting. Thank you.
Curry. So we have one more in the first section. We are joined by Malia Zavar. She is the executive director of the Indian Muslim Advocacy Network, and she will bring us a message on the faith perspective on unity and inclusion.
A little shorter than these other folks. Good morning. Thank you all for being here today and to voice your concern against this special session for early redistricting. I want to thank the IBLC for hosting this event this morning and bringing us all together. My name is Malia Zafar, and I'm the Executive Director of the Indiana Muslim Advocacy Network. We strive to ensure Muslim voices are heard in and across our state by those who are supposed to serve us. We ensure that the Muslim community remains educated and engaged on issues impacting our communities by the decisions being made in this very building. I know I will echo many of my esteemed colleagues this morning. Today we are all gathered because we oppose the calling of this special session to redraw our congressional maps in early redistricting. On behalf of the Indiana Muslim Advocacy Network, I am here today to condemn this decision and call on our elected officials to listen to their constituents on this issue and not the outside voices in Washington who do not hold our Hoosier values at heart. We know that redrawing these maps will cost taxpayers thousands of dollars every day and go against current polling saying that the majority of Hoosiers do not even want early redistricting. Efforts like this diminish Muslim voices in Indianapolis and in Northwest Indiana, undermining the very principles of fairness and democracy that our state stands for. The alleged proposed map strongly target Congressman Andre Carson's district, someone who has tirelessly stood up for the Muslim community and other minorities across the state. As one of the few Muslim voices in Congress, we are appalled that this federal administration has set their sights on ensuring the voices of this community are not represented in the halls of Congress. This representation is critical to our growing Muslim community, not just here in Marion County, but all across our state. Having a Hoosier Muslim in the town or in the halls of Congress ensure that not just the Muslim community, but all Hoosiers in his district are represented. Early redistricting would not only waste Hoosier taxpayer dollars, it would silence the voices across our communities and weaken our representation at a national level. For many of us, our faith calls us to stand up for what is right and to seek justice and protect the democratic ideals that give every person a voice. True justice and democracy thrive when every Hoosier has fair and equal representation. At our core, we are here to ensure that our elected officials serve the people, not power, and that every voice across Indiana is heard. We urge the members of the Indiana General Assembly to work with us, not against us. I urge every single one of you here to keep calling. There are a few who have remained against, who have held the line, saying that they do not support this. Call them and urge them to continue to hold that line. Please call your friends and just ensure that their voices are heard. Thank you.
Thank you. So these stories remind us that maps don't just draw lines, they also draw lives. To protect our local experience to the national conversation, we are going to hear from Congressman Andre Carson, U.S. House of Representatives, District 7, a steadfast advocate for fair representation and democracy.
Hoosiers, this is your Congressman Andre Carson. Unfortunately, I'm not there with you because I'm in D.C. working for you. That's exactly what congressional representatives are supposed to do. Represent the people we serve. But Trump and his allies want to tip the scale so Congress represents Trump's interests, not your and my interests. Our country should be by the people, with the people, and for the people, not Donald Trump. Indianapolis also happens to be the only majority-minority district in the state. It's clear they want to erase Black voices, Latino voices, and Asian voices. But we fought for our rights before. We've marched for our rights before. Today, that march continues. Stay strong, keep up the good fight, and God bless.
Thank you, Representative Carson. Did you hear the beginning of what he said? He said he, and he's not the only one, are in Washington, D.C. doing what? Working for you, working for all of us. That's why you here in Indianapolis that elected him, that's what you elected him to do. That's why those of us that live in Northwest Indiana that elected Congressman Frank Morvan, that's what we elected him to do. And I want to point out something also. both of these gentlemen have been re-elected. So they weren't just elected once, they've been elected multiple times, which says what? We, as the people they represent, appreciate and admire and are there to support them as they do continued work for us. So let's give them one more hand. Congressman Carson reminds us that democracy is a promise we all must work to keep. Now we will move from awareness into the second part, which has a focus on advocacy. From understanding the problem to building the solution. In this next phase, leaders will show us how policy, law, and civic engagement defend representation, and how each of us can participate in this fight. We are joined by the first half. We are joined to begin the second half by Mark Russell. He is the Director of Advocacy at the Indianapolis Urban League. He will begin by sharing how advocacy organizations are shaping policy to create equitable opportunities across Indiana.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for sharing your time and resources with us. I want us to remember, because these are difficult days, as Dr. King said, we have difficult days ahead. We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. We have to be in this battle for the long run. So I want to thank, we at the Urban League want to thank the members of the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus for giving their time and organizing this. Bottom line, this is not what democracy looks like. Mid this decade, redistricting will mute the power of Black, Latino, and urban voters. This is not what democracy looks like. Also, to use a phrase and belief that our governor often repeats, this is not what merit, excellence, or innovation means. No one has claimed the current districts are flawed. They are merely politically inconvenient for the White House. Mid-census redistricting violates Hoosier values of fair play and decency. For elected officials to pick their voters instead of voters choosing them is not what Hoosiers want. Redistricting before the next census will reduce the political voice of Black and Hispanic Hoosiers. The 1st and 7th congressional district happen to be in the more diverse areas of the state and are significantly changed under mid-decade districting. This is an all-out attack on diversity and citizens of color. The 7th district, located in Marion County, we just heard from Congressman Carson, is 30.8% Black, 15.8% Latino. And the 1st district, located in Northwest Indiana, has the state's highest Latino population at 18.1%. The Indianapolis Urban League is encouraging everyone to educate themselves on redistricting and making your voice heard with the Indiana House of Representatives in the Senate. We who believe in freedom will not rest. This is not what democracy looks like.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Megan Give her another hand. Megan Robertson. She is the Executive Director of Indiana Conservation Voters. She will share with us how fair maps lead to accountable government and why transparency matters in all issues.
Hello, good morning, and thank you for inviting me here today. My name is Megan Robertson. I'm the Executive Director of Indiana Conservation Voters. And a lot of folks ask, what is a conservation group doing focused on this issue in democracy? And we advocate for clean air, clean water, and clean energy, but we can't do any of that if we don't have a clean democracy. You cannot make change if your legislators and the folks that are in office aren't listening to you first and foremost. And I do want to say I'm really excited. Representative Porter's here. That's my state representative. And Andre Carson is my congressman. I grew up in Northwest Indiana. All the places that they're trying to split up, you might notice. And the only people that should be able to decide to get rid of my congressman or my grandfather's congressman up in Northwest Indiana are me and my neighbors and the people who vote in those districts. Unfortunately, we've got some folks in Washington, D.C. who are so terrified of losing any kind of power whatsoever that they are willing to change the rules in the middle of the game and cheat to win. And that's how we do things in Indiana. That is not what Hoosiers are about. We don't cheat. We like to play fair. And so where is all this coming from? Oh, that's right, Washington, D.C. The same people who are drawing the maps. Has anyone in this room seen a map that has been actually presented by this legislature saying this is the map that we're going to vote for instead of the map that we spent all of this time getting all this feedback, making sure we don't split communities up like Porter County, where they're going to take Michigan City and take it out of Porter County and put it in a different congressional district instead of keeping it with the rest of Northwest Indiana along that shoreline. Instead of keeping Indianapolis as one whole group, rumors, again, they're all rumors, we haven't seen these maps, but we keep hearing they're going to split Indianapolis in thirds and fourths. Just write down community lines just because they need to do it to win. Some of these state legislators are out here saying that they're supportive of these maps that they have not even seen, that are not being drawn by folks in Indiana, but are being drawn by a Republican group in Washington, D.C., people who have never been to our state, who have never been to these communities, and these folks have the audacity to think that they can make these decisions for people here in Indiana. It's wrong, it's not okay, and the people who work in this building all know it. They're just too scared to stand up and do the right thing. And we've all learned the lessons from our parents, our grandparents. If you don't stand for something, you will literally fall for anything, and that is what these people are doing right now. They are not representing us. They are representing their own interests because they're scared of a primary from somebody out of town who's going to come and tell voters how they should vote. It's not okay. But that said, we do have some state senators and Republican state senators who are standing strong against this. They are being very vocal, and they are saying, we don't have the votes for this because we know it's the wrong thing to do. What we need everyone here and your neighbors, everyone you know doing is getting loud and reaching out and supporting those state senators and telling your legislators that they have to stand against this. We can't deal with all of the important issues that we need to be addressing, like utility bills, the fact that folks can't get good jobs, the fact that folks are literally having problems to the point where this federal government isn't doing its job and making sure that folks are getting SNAP benefits and getting taken care of instead of playing political partisan games. So we need to show our state senators who are standing for us that we have their backs. Make sure you reach out to them, make sure your neighbors do it, and let's just go win this thing. Let's make it clear that we're not going to do this redistricting. Thank you all.
Next up, we have Julia Vaughn, the Executive Director of Common Cause Indiana. They have led the charge for fair maps and open government. She will share how citizens can reform systems from the inside out.
Good morning, fellow Hoosiers. It's so good to see you here this morning. I'm Julia Vaughn, the Executive Director of Common Cause Indiana. We're a not-for-profit, nonpartisan, grassroots lobbying organization that works for open, honest, and accountable government and to uphold the core values of American democracy. And let me tell you, folks, those core values have never been under more stress. This administration wants an autocracy. They don't want democracy. So it's up to all of us to fight back. Now, my organization has been fighting for fair maps in Indiana for over a decade. Back in 2015, we joined with the League of Women Voters of Indiana to create the All In for Democracy Coalition. NAACP, many organizations also work with us to sever the conflict of interest that exists when lawmakers draw their own maps. It's a problem, and unfortunately here in Indiana, we're a very good test case of what happens when you have not only legislators, but just one party. Because for the past 20 years, we've had a supermajority drawing districts here in Indiana. So it should be of no surprise to anyone that many of us feel underrepresented in our state. But we've got a lot of work to do, because while we've had an unfair process of redistricting for many years, we now have the unprecedented situation where we've got a sitting president ordering state legislatures to draw maps mid-cycle with one goal in mind, and that is flip Democrat seats to Republican seats. No matter what the voters of those states have done. You know, historically, Northwest Indiana, the city of Indianapolis, have elected Democrats. That's been the choice of those voters for generations in our state. And now suddenly, in 2025, the word has gone out from Washington, D.C. that no, Hoosier voters made a mistake in electing Democrats, so we're going to redraw lines and flip those seats. What do you think about that? They are attempting to silence our voices, and we must fight back. But you know what? I'm really proud of the way that Hoosiers have responded to this direct order from Washington, D.C. Because unlike lawmakers in Texas, Missouri, and North Carolina, Hoosier lawmakers did not say, "How high, Mr. President?" when he said jump. We have held out longer, far longer than any other state. And you know why? It's because of all of you and thousands of others like you around the state who have taken action against this unprecedented act. Our coalition has generated more than 20,000 constituent contacts to the governor, to the legislative leadership, and to individual legislators. More than 20,000 people have spoken up and said, "Not in our state. These districts belong to us, Mr. President. They don't belong to you. They don't belong to the Republican National Committee. They belong to Hoosiers, and we're not going to give them up without a fight." yet signed our petition against mid-cycle redistricting, please go to our website, commoncause.org/Indiana. You will find it there. We also have some paper copies at the back of the room if you prefer to sign a paper copy. But we are going to continue to raise the voices of Hoosiers against this because 4 different polls have told us we don't want this in our state. Democrats, independents, Republicans, even people who voted for Donald Trump recognize this is patently unfair, and that's not the way we do it here in Indiana. We follow the rules. And remember, we haven't been afraid to be independent from Washington, D.C. Here in Indiana, we've picked and we've chosen what we want to go along with from Washington, D.C. And I'm reminded just yesterday of one of those things that we said no thank you to for decades. Daylight savings time, remember? Remember when we used to not have to turn our clocks back? Well, that was because the Indiana General Assembly said no thank you. All those other states, you go turn your clocks if you want, but we're not going to do that here in Indiana. Of course, it took Mitch Daniels and multi-million-dollar lobbying effort from the Chambers of Commerce to stop that or to change it. But that's just an example of how Indiana decision makers in this building have said, well, that may be okay for other states, but it's not okay for Indiana. Mid-cycle redistricting is not okay for Indiana. And let's make sure the governor, the president pro tem, and the speaker of the House all hear us loud and clear. So there are going to be a number of events that are going to be happening up to the start of the special session. Next week, my organization will be hosting a webinar on the 12th. It'll be in the evening. So if you're interested in attending, please go to commoncause.org, sign up for our listserv, and we will send you an invitation. Recenter Indiana is an organization that is trying to bring Hoosiers back to the middle of the political spectrum. They are holding a listening session this Thursday in Beech Grove. So if you're interested in participating in that, go to recenter.org for more information. And our coalition will definitely hold a rally on the first day of the special session, and we need to fill this building with people united in one effort, right? Stop these rigged maps. Preserve the voices of all Hoosiers. 1st District, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. We don't need new maps. We need fair maps. Let's stand united and stop this. Thank you.
All right. If you were not awake already, before that, I'm sure you are now. Thank you. Thank you for those wonderful words. All right, next up, Danielle Drake, Advocacy Manager for the American Civil Liberties Union of Indiana. She will explain how legal protection safeguards are our right to vote and why vigilance is our best defense. Danielle.
Good morning. It has been a long couple of months. And I'm so glad to see all of you here today. Like Julia mentioned, it's your efforts that have kept this going and the defense going. First and foremost, I want to thank the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus for hosting this event and their work towards highlighting this issue, especially for Black and brown voters across the state. And thank you to our congressmen, the advocates, and community members who are here empowering us with their words this morning. Again, a call to take a visit to the tables if you haven't signed the petition or gotten involved with one of these organizations. I am Danielle Drake. I am the Advocacy Manager at ACLU of Indiana. And as we gather today at a time when democracy is at risk, the ACLU of Indiana wants to highlight, this is not how democracy in Indiana is supposed to work. This is not normal. Indiana's maps were redrawn just 4 years ago, like you've heard, after a full census, with public input, and under the rules set by our Constitution. Now, lawmakers are calling a special session to redraw them. Not because the voting population has changed, not because Hoosiers are voting any differently, not to focus on the real needs of Hoosiers in this time, but for political gain. That is not democracy, that is a power grab. Indiana already faces some of the lowest civic participation rates in the country, where we rank consistently low for voter turnout. And instead of empowering voters, this move risks making them feel like the game is rigged, because it is. And this is especially true for voters of color. The Indiana Constitution promises free and equal elections. Gerrymandering, especially mid-decade, without transparency or public input, breaks that promise. It is an abuse of power that will cost taxpayers, divide communities, and weaken the trust in our system and in our democracy. Our current maps were drawn just a few years ago. The majority leadership praised them as fair, and they said they kept communities of interest together. And now they are considering dismantling the power of those same communities. Hoosiers deserve way better than this. We deserve fair maps that ensure every vote counts equally. We deserve leaders who earn our trust at the ballot box, not by manipulating the boundaries of democracy. Our message is simple. Voters should choose their representatives, not the other way around. Thank you.
And we will close out section 2 with Amy Courtney, the Executive Director of MAD Voters. They turn passion into participation by organizing voters to hold leaders accountable. Let's go, Amy!
All right, good morning. So, as he said, my name is Amy Courtney, and I am the Executive Director of MAD Voters. Indiana is at a crossroads. We are witnessing an unprecedented and deeply alarming attempt to subvert the very foundation of our representative government. For over 3 months, DC insiders have pressured our state house to call a special session to redraw congressional maps. I want to start by congratulating every Hoosier activist, every caller, and every volunteer. Holding off this pressure for 3 months is a monumental win in itself. But the fight is not over. Let us be clear. Redistricting after the 10-year census is a foundational precedent for our government. In the last 50 years, early redistricting for partisan advantage has happened just twice. This is not gerrymandering or politics as usual. We are calling it what it is, election rigging. The push by the federal administration is what is known as a consolidation of power. It's an attempt to rig the system to cement one-party domination. This is what authoritarian breakthrough looks like at the state level. It is dangerous, and it is the absolute opposite of a healthy democracy. Our democratic republic relies on voters choosing their representatives, not representatives rigging maps to choose their voters. And Hoosiers see right through this. Multiple polls have shown that the majority of Hoosiers oppose this mid-decade redistricting. Voters understand this is cheating, and we do not want to be part of this political power grab. We are a fiscally conservative state, yet this special session would be costly. This is a blatant, hypocritical waste of money, especially when this administration is cutting funding for child care vouchers, public health, and SNAP benefits. Elected officials should be focused on property taxes, utility bills, and health care, not wasting taxpayer money to please a political machine. To the legislators who are still on the fence, this is your moment to make history. The decision you face is not about Democrats or Republicans. It is about whether you will protect the institutional integrity of the Indiana Statehouse. Unchecked power at the state level has been harmful, but unleashing unchecked power at the federal level will crumble America. Your current maps received an A grade for fairness from the Princeton Gerrymandering Project. These new maps would almost certainly earn an F because they would disenfranchise 40% of Hoosier voters, primarily voters of color. You have a choice. You can either comply with the threats and the bullying from the Trump regime, or you can stand up for the legislative process, the rule of law, and for the majority of your constituents who want you to just say no. And finally, to every Hoosier, this is not a time for cynicism. This is a time for civic engagement. Show up. Be at the Statehouse during the special session and throughout the regular session. Sit in on committee hearings. Speak up. Sign up to give public testimony at local meetings and at the Statehouse. And organize. You can visit madvoters.org for resources, information, scripts, calls to action, and so much more. We seized the momentum. Now let's win the fight. Let us defend the integrity of our state and send a resounding message. Indiana is not for sale. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. And I want to reiterate something that Amy said. As a reminder, this is your house. This is your house. You voted us into office. We represent you. So show up. Come to committee meetings. Show up during special session. Show up every day, any day you want, because we are here for you. And again, the State House is your house. All right, each of these voices reminds us that advocacy isn't abstract. It's local, it's urgent, and it starts with us. To bring this home on the national level, let's hear from Congressman Frank Mervan, my congressman, I need to point that out, the U.S. House of Representatives, District 1.
I am Congressman Frank Mervan, and I proudly represent Indiana's 1st Congressional District. I want to thank all the members and leaders of the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus for their dedication, their advocacy, their time, their treasure that they have put in this fight that we're faced with. Make no mistake that the Voting Rights Act is under attack across our country and the state of Indiana. Severe suppression of voters is what they are attempting to do. And because of their failed policies of this administration, they can read a poll and they realize that they have to change the districts in order to be successful in the midterms. Well, we're not going to allow that to happen. We're going to come together and we are going to make sure that we let the entire nation in Indiana know what we are up against. We will continue to fight to make sure that we understand, as John Lewis would say, to stand up under every injustice and to make sure our voices are heard. No matter if Governor Braun is successful or unsuccessful, I will fight for Northwest Indiana and the state of Indiana, for working families, for labor union brothers and sisters, for teachers, for farmers, for our veterans, and for our seniors. We face very challenging times, and I am up to that challenge, but I need your help. And always remember, together we will not be defeated, and together we shall overcome. I'm Congressman Frank Mervan, and I thank you for everything you're doing to make sure that our votes count.
I want to take a moment to talk about facts. We've heard a lot of great facts today. Number one, you did not ask for this. Number two, the polls, no matter which party you are, tell us that voters don't want this. Number three, if we're going to come back in for a special session, we have real issues to deal with. And I'm going to add a fourth one we haven't talked about today. And this is one of those things that we keep hearing this argument from people that support this. They continue to say that Indiana is a red state, and therefore all of the people that represent us on the federal level should be Republicans. Let's take a look at a fact here. President Donald Trump was elected with only 58% of the Indiana vote. Governor Mike Braun only received 54% of the Indiana vote. Last time I checked, that does not make us a red state. So I want you to keep that in mind when you hear this argument. Push back and inform them. You may think we're red. Maybe the layout and the makeup of the House and the Senate here make us look red, but in reality, we live more in a purple world. All right, now we turn to Representative Carolyn Jackson. She is the Vice Chair of the Indianapolis Black Legislative Caucus. She is also the Chair of the IBL Redistricting Committee, which I have to give credit to, has worked hard to put this event together. She will close us out with a call for action and ways to get involved.
Thank you, Representative Harris, and thank you all, the incredible speakers, for sharing your stories, as well as expressing your passion for why we're here today. Good morning, everyone. I am Representative Carolyn B. Jackson, proud to serve House District 1, Vice Chair of the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus, and Chair of the Redistricting Committee. I am joined by my committee members here on the stage. Thank you, each and every one of you, for your dedication, your time, and your many hours that we spent working to make this event a success. What I love most about gatherings like this is that they show the strength of our community. A community that doesn't just talk about democracy, but lives it. You showed up today because you are serious about fairness, representation, and allowing your voices to be heard. You're concerned about the future of Indiana and what advocacy is all about. Advocacy doesn't start or stop with an election or a rally. It starts with each of us deciding that our voices matter. It's about all that matters. It's about speaking. It's about showing up. For instance, a mother who has a child in school, she's gonna be that child's voice. She's gonna attend the board meetings, the school meetings, etc. The retiree that speaks up about how their life has been affected. Those are the things that matter. Every one of us is engaged and should be engaged. Those things are things that build power in our community. But it's dark in here, so reading is kind of difficult, so excuse me. So as we're here today, I want you to take 3 steps with you when you leave today. The first step is to stay informed. Pay attention to what is happening to our legislation. Know who your representatives are. Know what they stand for. Know how they vote. Reach out to them. Second, stay engaged. Call, email, and meet with your legislators. Tell them what matters to you and your community. When your representatives know you're watching them, they will act a little bit differently. But you got to be in their face, and you got to make sure that they know that they cannot get away with doing what they want and not what you want. And thirdly, build your advocacy skills up. Okay? The Indiana Black Legislative Caucus Education Foundation has a program called Advocacy Works. This program is led by State Representative Robin Shackelford. It's a 6-month program that deals with policy training, initiative design, and it helps everyday people learn how to navigate government, build communities, coalitions, and advocate effectively for change. Now, currently, we are not accepting applications. However, the applications will be starting up in the spring of the year. So please, pay attention to our website because those advocacy applications will go live around the first part of probably first part of April. Okay, you can learn more and you can sign up for updates, etc. around that time. Before you leave today, we have tables in the back where you can get brochures, you can get cards, you can get things that you will need to stay active and to start working on your advocacy. Stop by the Bad Voters table as well as the NAACP table where you can get information, you can get check on your voting status. If you need to get registered to vote, you can do that as well. Friends, democracy doesn't move unless we move it. Each of you has the opportunity to make a difference right where you are. Keep showing up, keep speaking up, keep standing up together for justice and representation, as well as remembering what you do, it affects not just you, but it affects all Hoosiers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative Jackson. So I want to, before we close this out, I want to, number one, say thank you for being here with us this morning. We appreciate you showing up. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you. And second, I just want to remind you there's still more work to do. So thank you for the work you've done. There's still more engagement, more things you can do. Remember, it ain't over till it's over. All right, closing us out, and the final words you will hear today, Reverend David Green. He will be giving us a closing reflection and prayer to send us forward in unity and in purpose.
Fellow Hoosiers, what began today as a rally must continue as a commitment to keep showing up, a commitment to keep speaking up, a commitment to keep standing up. I'm talking about even after the cameras are gone and the headlines fade. We came together to remind this state that democracy cannot be drawn in secret. It must be shaped in the light of truth and accountability. Because maps don't make democracy, people do. And we, the people, have declared that the power still belongs to us. So as we leave this place, remember, the real power is not in the pen that draws the lines, but in the people who cross those lines with courage, compassion, and conviction. So let's go forward, determined to live out what we proclaim today, that Indiana's future will not be shaped by fear, but by fairness, not by partisanship, but by principle, and not by manipulation, but by moral courage. Let us pray. Holy and righteous God, we thank you for the strength that brought us together and the spirit that binds us as one. Thank you for the Indiana Black Legislative Caucus and every leader who dares to stand for truth, transparency, and justice. Thank you for every citizen who showed up today, not just to be seen, but to be heard. Not just to stand, but to take a step towards a better tomorrow. Now, Lord, as we leave this place, let your justice go before us. Let your peace follow behind us. And let your love dwell among us. Let this rally be more than a moment. Let it be a movement that reshapes hearts, policies, and power in this state and beyond. And when we grow weary in the struggle, whisper again the words of promise that sustain us. That truth crushed to earth shall rise again. That light still overcomes darkness. And justice, Lord, your justice will prevail. In your mighty and matchless name we pray. Amen. May God bless our state and may God bless our democracy. God bless all of you.